He went to the hospital for surgery. He was supposed to be back in 2 weeks. But when he got home, everything was gone. Someone had taken his house. They had changed the locks. They had put it up for sale. They had stolen his entire life while he was lying in a hospital bed. He thought it was over. He thought he had lost everything. Then he walked into the courtroom. The judge started asking questions, and the truth came out. The woman who stole his home had a shocking secret, a secret that changed everything. Like and subscribe right now because this story will shock you. This is about fraud. This is about betrayal. This is about a woman who stole someone's home and thought she could get away with it. But justice prevailed. Watch what happens when the judge discovers the truth. Subscribe now. His name is Robert Martinez. He's 72 years old. He's a retired construction worker. He spent 45 years building homes for other people. Now, in his retirement, he finally has his own home. A beautiful house in San Antonio, Texas. He paid it off years ago. It's worth $450,000. It's his most valuable possession. It's supposed to be his legacy to his children. Robert's life was quiet and simple. He woke up early. He had coffee on the porch. He tended to his garden. He spent time with his grandchildren. He was happy. Then one day he had severe chest pain. His doctor told him he needed bypass surgery. It was serious. He was going to be in the hospital for at least a week. He'd need recovery time at home. He'd be vulnerable for a few weeks. Before he went to the hospital, Robert called his sister, Diana. Diana is 68 years old. She's lived a difficult life. She's struggled with money. She's never had much, but Robert has always helped her. He's given her money over the years. He's let her stay at his house when she needed to. Diana, Robert said over the phone, I'm going to the hospital tomorrow. I'll be gone for about 2 weeks. Can you check on the house while I'm gone? Make sure nothing happens. Water the plants. Maybe stay here a few nights so it doesn't look empty. Of course, Diana said. Don't worry about anything. I'll take care of everything. Robert trusted his sister. Why wouldn't he? She was family. She had always been family. Robert went to the hospital on a Monday. The surgery went well. He was stable. The doctors said he'd recover fully, but it would take time. For the first week, Diana visited him. She brought him flowers. She brought him his favorite food. She sat with him and talked. Robert was grateful. He thought his sister was being wonderful, but Diana wasn't at the hospital to be wonderful. While Robert was recovering, Diana was doing something else. She was meeting with people, lawyers, real estate agents, other people. What Robert didn't know was that Diana had financial problems. Serious problems. She owed people money. Bad people. People who had threatened her. She owed over $200,000 to loan sharks. Loan sharks don't wait for money. Loan sharks make threats. They make it clear what will happen if they don't get paid. Diana was desperate. And then Robert told her he was going to the hospital. Diana saw an opportunity. She went to Robert's house. She looked through his documents. She found his deed. She found information about his mortgage, which was paid off. She found his identification. She found everything she needed. Then she did something illegal. She forged Robert's signature on documents. She created a fake power of attorney. She created fake paperwork that said Robert was giving her permission to sell his house. She took these fake documents to a title company. A woman named Susan Chen worked at the title company. Susan was desperate for money too. Diana paid her $5,000 to process the fake paperwork, to transfer the title to Diana's name, to make it official. Within days, Robert's house, a house that had been in his family for 20 years, a house that was worth $450,000, a house that was supposed to be his legacy, was now officially in Diana's name, at least according to the fraudulent documents. Diana then listed the house for sale. She listed it at $420,000. She found a buyer quickly. The buyer was another woman, but the buyer didn't know the documents were fake. The buyer thought everything was legitimate. 3 days before Robert was released from the hospital, Diana closed the sale. She received $420,000. Minus fees and commission, she walked away with $380,000. She paid the loan sharks. She kept about $100,000 for herself. She thought she was free. She thought nobody would ever find out. Then Robert came home from the hospital. Robert was weak when he came home. He was supposed to rest for another week. He was supposed to take it easy. But when he pulled up to his house, something felt wrong. There was a new car in the driveway. A car he didn't recognize. There was a moving truck. People were carrying things out of his house. Robert got out of his car slowly. He was still recovering. His chest hurt when he moved too fast. "What's happening?" Robert asked one of the movers. "This is a residential move," the mover said. "We're moving the current owner's belongings out." "Current owner?" Robert said. "I'm the owner." "Not according to the paperwork," the mover said. He showed Robert a document, a bill of sale, a transfer of ownership. Everything official, everything legal-looking, everything fake. Robert's heart was racing. Not in a good way. He could feel the stress. He had just had bypass surgery. This stress wasn't good for him. He went inside his house. Nobody stopped him. He went to his bedroom. He looked for his documents. His deed, his insurance papers. Everything was gone. Diana had taken it all. Robert called the police. He told them what had happened. The police took a report, but they told him this was a civil matter, not a criminal matter. This was between him and the title company. This was property fraud. This would go to court. Robert hired a lawyer, a woman named Margaret Torres who specializes in property fraud. Margaret told him that this was going to be difficult. The documents looked legitimate. They had his forged signature. They had official seals. They had been processed through a legitimate title company. But Margaret also told him something important. She said, "We need to investigate Diana. We need to find out why she did this. We need to find out who helped her. We need to build a case." Margaret investigated. She found the title company employee, Susan Chen. She found evidence that Susan had been paid. She found bank records showing the $5,000 transfer. She found everything, but more importantly, Margaret found something else. She found out that Diana had a history of fraud. 20 years ago, Diana had forged her mother's signature and sold her mother's jewelry. 5 years ago, Diana had created a fake bank account in her ex-husband's name. Diana was a serial fraud artist. The case went to court. Robert's lawyer presented evidence. The forged documents, the fraudulent title transfer, the payment to the title company employee, Susan Chen's testimony about how Diana had paid her to process the fake paperwork. Then Robert's lawyer asked Diana a simple question. "Diana, why did you do this? Why did you forge your brother's documents and steal his home?" Diana broke down. She cried. She admitted everything. She admitted that she owed money to loan sharks. She admitted that she was desperate. She admitted that she thought her brother would forgive her because he was family. But that's when the judge spoke up. The judge had been reading the court documents. The judge had reviewed Diana's history. The judge had discovered something shocking. "Ms. Martinez," the judge said, looking at Diana, "I've reviewed your criminal history. I see a pattern. I see fraud. I see forgery. I see crimes going back decades. But what I also see is something more troubling. I see that you've targeted family members. You defrauded your mother. You tried to defraud your ex-husband. And now you've defrauded your brother. This isn't just fraud. This is predatory behavior." The judge turned to Robert. "Mr. Martinez, I'm ordering the title transfer to be reversed immediately. Your house will be returned to you. The sale to the third-party buyer will be canceled. The buyer will be made whole through restitution from the defendant." Then the judge turned back to Diana. "Ms. Martinez, you are under arrest for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. You're being charged with felony crimes. You're looking at significant prison time. Additionally, you will be ordered to pay full restitution to your brother, to the third-party buyer, and to the title company for their role in this fraud." Diana was taken into custody right there in the courtroom. She was crying. She was screaming. But it was too late. She had committed a crime. She had stolen her brother's home, and now she was going to prison. "Mr. Martinez, I'm ordering the title transfer to be reversed immediately. Your house will be returned to you. The sale to the third-party buyer will be canceled. The buyer will be made whole through restitution from the defendant." Then the judge turned back to Diana. "Ms. Martinez, you are under arrest for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. You're being charged with felony crimes. You're looking at significant prison time. Additionally, you will be ordered to pay full restitution to your brother, to the third-party buyer, and to the title company for their role in this fraud." Diana was taken into custody right there in the courtroom. She was crying. She was screaming. But it was too late. She had committed a crime. She had stolen her brother's home, and now she was going to prison. The title company employee, Susan Chen, was also charged. She pleaded guilty. She testified against Diana. She received a reduced sentence in exchange for her cooperation. Robert got his house back. The third-party buyer had to accept the reversal, but they received their money back. Nobody was left holding the bag except Diana. Diana was convicted on all charges. She received 5 years in prison. She was ordered to pay $450,000 in restitution to Robert. She was ordered to pay an additional $50,000 to compensate the third-party buyer for their trouble. She will spend the next 5 years thinking about what she did, thinking about how she betrayed her brother, thinking about how her desperation led her to destroy her own family. What we learn from Robert's story. First, never trust someone just because they're family. Family members can betray you. Family members can lie to you. Family members can steal from you. Love for family is good, but it shouldn't make you blind. It shouldn't make you vulnerable to exploitation. Second, fraud has a pattern. Diana didn't suddenly decide to commit fraud. She had committed fraud before. Many times. People who commit crimes often do it again. If someone has defrauded people in the past, they'll probably defraud again. Pay attention to people's history. Third, documentation matters. Robert had his deed. He had his property documents. He had proof of ownership. That documentation is what allowed him to prove fraud and recover his house. Always keep your important documents safe. Fourth, justice does exist. Even when something terrible happens, justice can still prevail. Even when fraud happens, it can be uncovered. Even when someone steals from you, the law can force them to give it back. Robert got his house back. He got justice. Fifth, desperation doesn't excuse crime. Diana was desperate. She owed money to loan sharks. She was scared. But desperation doesn't excuse what she did. Desperation doesn't make it okay to steal from family. Desperation doesn't make it okay to commit fraud. She had choices. She chose to commit a crime. To Diana Martinez. I hope you spent those 5 years in prison thinking about what you did. I hope you understand that you destroyed your relationship with your brother. I hope you understand that desperation doesn't justify crime. To Robert Martinez, thank you for fighting. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for seeking justice. Your case shows that fraud can be defeated. To everyone watching, protect your documents. Be careful who you trust. Pay attention to people's history. And if someone commits fraud against you, fight back. Justice is possible. If this story made you angry, if it made you want to protect yourself from fraud, like this video right now. Subscribe to the channel because we share stories about justice being served. We share stories about fraud being exposed. We share stories about good people getting their lives back. Share this video with someone you know, because people need to understand that fraud happens. People need to know how to protect themselves. People need to believe that justice exists. Hit that subscribe button now, and I'll see you in the next video where we celebrate more real people who fought fraud and won. The end.